1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The Minister for Information says the government has adopted a balanced strategy to cope with the challenge of coronavirus pandemic effectively. Over 1,200 new coronavirus cases with 35 deaths have been reported across the country during the last 24 hours. The Minister for Religious Affairs and Interfaith Harmony has stressed the need for collective efforts to foil the nefarious designs against the unity of Muslim Ummah. The Minister for Kashmir Affairs has urged the international community to come forward to avert the Indian hegemonic designs and deter it from usurping the just right of people in occupied Kashmir. Whereas in occupied Kashmir itself, the All Parties Hurriyat Conference, while condemning the intensified use of brutal force by the Indian troops, has said Kashmiris are facing collective punishment for demanding peaceful settlement of the dispute. The American Special Envoy for Afghanistan has launched a visit to 5 countries to push ahead peace talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban. And now the news in detail. The Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Shibli Faraj, says the government has adopted a balanced strategy to cope with the challenge of coronavirus pandemic effectively. He was addressing a news conference along with the Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Digital Pakistan, Tania Idris, and focal person to the Prime Minister on COVID-19, Dr. Faisal Sultan, in Islamabad today. Shibli Faraj said coronavirus has engulfed the entire world and Pakistan introduced the lockdown policy in this situation to save precious lives and the economy as well. He said this model is being replicated in many countries in the world. The minister said Pakistan cannot afford complete lockdown policy. He said some countries observed strict lockdown to stop the spread of this global epidemic, but they are facing disturbing economic hardships and rising death toll. Shibli Faraj said National Command and Operations Center is playing a vital role and has managed the situation scientifically. The Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Health Services, Dr. Zafar Mirza, says the sale of sacrificial animals and establishment of cattle markets within the cities is strictly banned across the country. Addressing a news conference in Islamabad this afternoon, he said special preparations have been made in consultations with all the stakeholders to implement standard operating procedures during Eid holidays. He said COVID-19 pandemic will further spread if the citizens do not follow the standard operating procedures. Dr. Zafar Mirza said SOPs should also be followed while offering Eid prayers. He advised the citizens to prefer online purchase of sacrificial animals instead of going to the cattle markets. Germany has decided to upscale its support to Pakistan in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. This was stated by the German ambassador to Pakistan, Bernhard Schlagerheck, in an interview with APP in Islamabad. He said Germany has provided 500,000 euros to Pakistan to promote activities which would help mitigate socio-economic effects of the pandemic at the local level. The ambassador said Germany will also provide 6 million euros to support Pakistani communities hosting Afghan refugees to improve local health and education services. There is a significant improvement in the number of those recovering from COVID-19 in Pakistan, with the total tally reaching 237,434. According to latest statistics, 1,226 new coronavirus cases have surfaced in the country during the last 24 hours, taking the total figure to 273,112. These include 117,598 in the Sindh province, 91,901 in the Punjab, 33,220 in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, 11,578 in Balochistan, 14,841 in the Islamabad Capital Territory, 2,023 in Azad Kashmir, and 1,952 in Gilgit-Baltistan. 35 deaths were reported during the last 24 hours, while 23,254 tests were carried out during the period. The number of corona cases across the world has crossed 16.2 million, while the pandemic has so far claimed more than 649,000 lives. The United States is the worst hit country, where cases have mounted to over 4.3 million, and the death toll has crossed over 149,000. In Brazil, more than 2.3 million cases and over 86,000 deaths have been reported so far. More than 9.9 million patients have recovered from the disease across the world so far. The newly elected president of the United Nations General Assembly, Volkan Bozkır, postponed his scheduled visit to Pakistan today due to some technical flight problems, which would be rescheduled soon. This was announced by the United Nations General Assembly president on his Twitter account today. He expressed the hope to visit Pakistan in the near future. Volkan Bozkır said he is looking forward to a fruitful exchange with Pakistani authorities regarding issues and priorities on the United Nations 75th General Assembly agenda. In response, the Foreign Minister Makhdoom Shah Mahmood Qureshi took to his Twitter handle and said he looks forward to welcoming the United Nations General Assembly President to Pakistan soon for a constructive and fruitful visit. This is Radio Pakistan. The Minister for Religious Affairs and Interfaith Harmony, Nurul Haq Qadri, has stressed the need for collective efforts to foil the nefarious designs of the enemy against the unity of Muslim Ummah. Addressing the Ittihad Ummat conference in Peshawar this afternoon, he said some foreign elements are trying to destabilize peace of Pakistan for the last 4 decades. Referring to Corona situation, the minister said Prime Minister Imran Khan devised a positive policy to combat COVID-19 crisis in the country. Nurul Haq Qadri said coronavirus cases have greatly decreased in the country. He lauded the role of the ulama during the prevailing critical coronavirus situation and urged the public to follow the standard operating procedures on the upcoming Eid al-Azha to contain the spread of coronavirus. The Minister for Kashmir Affairs and Gilgit-Baltistan, Ali Amin Khan Gandapur, has urged the international community to come forward to avert the Indian hegemonic designs and deter it from usurping the just inalienable right of the people in occupied Kashmir. In an interview with APP, he said fascist Narendra Modi government is poised to deprive the Kashmiri people of their birth inalienable right of self-determination promised by the United Nations. The minister said Prime Minister Imran Khan has emerged as an ambassador for the people of occupied Kashmir who raised the Kashmir issue at all fora to draw world attention towards it. He said due to successful diplomacy of the government, the nations that earlier avoided to comment on the Kashmir issue have now started blaming India for the human rights violations in occupied Kashmir. In occupied Kashmir, the all parties Hurriyat conference, while condemning the intensified use of brute force by the Indian troops in length and breadth of the territory, has said Kashmiris are facing collective punishment for demanding peaceful settlement of the Kashmir dispute. The APHC spokesman, in a statement issued in Srinagar, said scores of youths have been injured and properties worth millions damaged by the troops during coordinated search operation in Panzinara area of Srinagar yesterday. He pointed out that the unrelenting bloodshed in occupied territory is the result of unresolved Kashmir dispute and that an amicable settlement of the dispute is the only way to establish durable peace in the South Asian region. The American Special Envoy for Afghanistan, Zalmay Khalilzad, is visiting 5 countries to push ahead the peace talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban. In a statement, the American State Department said Special Representative for Afghanistan Reconciliation, Zalmay Khalilzad, would travel to Doha, Kabul, Islamabad, Oslo, and Sofia. The statement said the United States is drawing down its troops in Afghanistan under an agreement struck in February with the Taliban. The United States and Russia will hold talks in Vienna tomorrow on nuclear arms control and space security. The meeting will be the first formal bilateral talks between both the countries on space security since 2013. And finally, the weather. Rain, wind, thunderstorm is expected in Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Upper Punjab, Lower Balochistan, Lower Sindh, Gilgit-Baltistan, Kashmir, and adjoining hilly areas during the next 12 hours. However, hot and humid weather is expected in other parts of the country. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.